Welcome to LSC, and it's sports time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I've got a special guest, Curt Newsome. Now, Curt is currently up at Virginia Tech, but he's had a storied past here in the Hampton Roads area, and we want to talk a little bit about that. Welcome, Curt.
Thank you so much for having me, Bob. I appreciate it.
We'd love to having you here. I know that not only you played ball in Hampton, in fact, you played a little bit of Kecoughtan and then went to Phoebus.
Actually, started off as a sophomore and played varsity football. Boo Williams and myself at Kecoughtan, and they built Phoebus, and we transferred over there. At the time, I don't know if we wanted to go or not, but then had a lot of fun and met a lot of great people over at Phoebus High School.
Well, I had Arnie Baker in earlier, and he said that Jim Hathaway was mad because he got all some good athletes that transferred over there. Now, after you left there, you went on to college, and whereabouts did you go to college?
I went to Emory and Henry in Southwest Virginia, and actually Ray Smith, who's the AD at Bethel, had been a student there, and there late in the process, I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go to school, and he still had some connections there, and he made some phone calls and helped me get to Emory and Henry.
Well, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to talk a little bit about Ray, because you and Ray both had bypass heart surgeries about the same time, 5 years, a couple of months after Ray's, but y'all kept in contact with each other.
Yes, he called as I was coming out of my surgery, and we've stayed in touch. He comes to my house and stays 1 weekend a year during the football season, and we discuss our exercise program and our new eating habits. But he's been really good to me.
Well, not only did he coach you at baseball at Phoebus, is that correct?
Actually, Kecoughtan right. JV, and then he got the varsity job at Phoebus, and I went over there. So he coached me my entire baseball career.
Well, tell me a little bit about what the experience was like at Emory and Henry.
I really enjoyed it. We didn't win a lot of games. It's a small college atmosphere. I had 3 different football coaches, and I think I learned a little bit, gained something from each of them. They were all very different, and but I was an undersized defensive tackle that had a lot of fun running around the field out there. So.
Well, we're talking about different coaches. I know that you've had a lot of different coaches. You've coached under coaches. You've had coaches coach under you when you was a head coach. Who was your mentor? Who did you just have one, or did you take from every one of them?
I think everyone to a degree. First of all, my father was a little league coach, and that I got a lot out of him. I mean, that was one of the reasons I wanted to do it.
Right.
From there, actually, Revis Conrad had a lot to do with me wanting to be a football coach. I've got a lot of respect for Coach Conrad. He was a great person, and then. Ray Smith, of course, had coached me. That was another reason I wanted to go into it. And then once I got into coaching, Mike Smith has been really good to me and really helped me once I had decided. I met him when I was coaching in Southwest Virginia at a national clinic, and he was here, and I was the head coach at 22 years old at a small little place, Irvington High School. And he said that he remembered me when I played, and if I ever got the opportunity to come back this way, he'd welcome me in, and he's been good to me.
Well, I know that when he'd be in the playoffs, you're over there helping him.
Well, I don't know if I was helping him, but I was learning. I was learning what he was doing was successful, and I wanted to give that a shot. But he was really good to me.
Well, of all the guys who've been successful, he'd be one that you want to follow. Well, you left Kecoughtan, went to Heritage. While you was at Kecoughtan, you got into the state finals, which had to be a real great experience.
Yeah, that was the last game we coached at Kecoughtan, and I still to this day I think I blew that one. We had gotten there running the ball, and I decided since it was about 10 degrees outside and the wind was blowing about 30 miles an hour, we were going to throw it all over the yard, and that didn't really work. But had a great group of young men. That team had great character and good people on it.
All right, now you left there and went to Heritage, and then from Heritage you went to JMU. What made you decide to go from high school to college? Was this a goal that you had set for yourself?
I had always wanted to give that a shot, and had the opportunity, just very fortunate to get into James Madison. Mickey Matthews who had come in from Georgia, had recruited our school, had given me a call. Actually, I'd interviewed with Alex Wood, who was the coach previous to Mickey. And Alex said, tell me this weekend if you want to accept this job. Well, I get up Saturday morning and open the paper up. It says, Alex Wood accepts Minnesota Vikings job. Well, I thought my shot was over with at that time. And then within 2 weeks or however long they had the process, Mickey Matthews called and asked me if I'd like to come to James Madison. And really enjoyed it there.
What kind of experience was that? Because now you're not, you were going from a head coach where you basically set the tone to now you're kind of saying, okay, the head coach says this is what we want to do with the offense and with the defense, and so.
It was very much different in that, you know, I had been a head coach for a lot of years. I'd been an assistant for Coach D for 2. Other than that, I got an assistant's job when I was extremely young. I mean, a head coaching job when I was extremely young. And then when Mickey hires me, he says, you're just going to have defensive tackles. I'm thinking, I've got 2 guys. I'm used to, you know, having 40 or 50.
Right.
And I guess he figured I was a high school guy. If I just give him 2, at least he can't mess those 2. So I stayed on the defensive side of the ball for the first couple years. The next year he gave me the whole defensive front. Then he moved me to offense. I was fortunate enough to coach the offensive line, and he gave me the assistant head coach title.
Well, see, most people look at you, the last place we would say that you played was on the defensive line,
right.
Tackle. And then you're telling me you played tackle. You know, linebacker maybe, defensive back, but tackle is, so you had some experience there.
Right, I looked a little bit closer to it before my heart surgery.
Well, you had a little more weight.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I got you. But then after you left James Madison, went to Virginia Tech, that had to be like a dream chance for you to go to Virginia Tech to be an assistant under Beamer.
It's always been a goal of mine. I had taken our football team from Kickingham to camp there every year and had built a relationship with that staff and Coach Beamer. And I'm just fortunate that I work for the best boss in the country. I don't think there's any better. He's a great person, and the reason we have success in Blacksburg is because of Coach Beamer.
Well, now, it was in the paper a few years ago. He says, don't give me a raise, give my assistants a raise. You don't see that. So, I mean, that kind of gives you loyalty.
You know, he treats us so well, even when, you know, things are going a little bad. He lets us know we all can coach. Let's just keep coaching, and we'll get out of this thing. And this year is a perfect example. You know, we're 0-2. We've just lost to James Madison. I don't know if it gets any lower than that in Blacksburg. 0-2 out of the blocks. You know, with a team that was originally in the top 10. For us to hang in there and win 11 straight, I think it just says a lot about Coach Beamer. And,
well, it's, you know, it does say a lot about the coach, but even as a head coach at the high school, you give a lot of accolades to your assistant coaches, and he's done a good job with it. Does he let you do your job, or does he doesn't micromanage, does he? No
question. He lets us do our job. Now, if we're having issues, you know, he's in there to help solve it, but no, just lets us go. Now, we don't mess too much with the special teams.
Okay. That's his baby. I know that.
That is his baby, and there's a reason we're good at it, because we spend a lot of time on it. And we've got good players. I mean, I think everybody realizes to win football games, you better have some good football players. Well,
now, you've had great success, not only you, but Virginia Tech, in recruiting down here in the Hampton Roads area. Talk about some of the ball players that's gone through this system.
Well, you know, Tyrod Taylor comes to mind at Virginia Tech right now as being a great, you know, he's ACC Player of the Year. You know, he's a big reason we win 11 in a row. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. I don't think we would trade him for anybody that's out there. And we've got starting James Brooks from Denby High School is the starting right guard. The left guard is Greg Nosal from Virginia Beach. The starting linebacker, Lindell Gibson, is from Virginia Beach, and I'm leaving several out, but our team is made up of 757. And I mean, that's where our success comes from. And Coach Beamer puts the Virginia kids, not just this area, but the Virginia kids on the board first, and then we fill in. So when our recruiting board, Virginia goes up top, so those out-of-state guys have to come behind. He feels like if you're an in-state guy, the parents are going to be involved. They're going to be able to come to games. You know, they're going to see their parents each weekend, and there's just more cohesion there.
Right, and I can understand that, because me as a just loves to watch the sport, want to see the kids that play in this area stay in state.
No question.
So we get the chance to see them, because if they go out of state, then only if they happen to put them on TV do you get a chance to see them.
Exactly.
But you've had some ball players go through there and end up into the pros.
Yes, we have. We've had several of them. Actually, at James Madison, had several from this area. Arthur Moats, I was fortunate enough to recruit. Actually, the hit on Brett Favre this week. That's Arthur Moats, who I was able to recruit at James Madison, and he's in the NFL. Scotty McGee, recruited from Virginia Beach, went to James Madison. He's in the NFL. And so we've had several go to the NFL. And, of course, at Virginia Tech, we've got quite a few.
Well, if you could talk to the student athletes in this area about Virginia Tech, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, it's a people place. And, you know, wherever you go, there's going to be great buildings, great stadiums, great locker rooms, and we have that, and so does everybody else. But I think when you're deciding on where you want to go to school, it's about the people and the people that you have to be with every day. And I think winning's important. If you're going to put that much time and effort in it, it's hard not to win and be happy. So we've, you know, I think history is a great predictor of the future.
Right.
We've been able to win football games. I think we'll continue. We're actually right now we're the only team in the country the last 7 years that has won 10 games. It was us in Texas, and they didn't do it this year. So 7 years in a row, we've won 10 football games. And I think it's a place where you get along with people, win a lot of football games, and I think you have a great college career if you have those things.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming in.
Oh, I certainly appreciate you and what y'all do. And I mean, this is home. I was able to run by my mother's house and say hello before I got over here. I don't know if Coach Beamer needs to know that when I'm out recruiting, but I was able to do that. But
you're in this area, you got to stop and see Mama.
Definitely have to do that.
Well, again, thank you so much. This is Bob Hintz, and I'm glad you tuned in to LSC and Sportstime. I want to thank my special guest, Curt Newsome from Virginia Tech, one of the assistants up there. Bob Hintz, until next time.